Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start the reaction, which is a very interesting reaction today, it's about the amount of Israelis that are pretty much unaliving themselves due to the crime that they have committed in Gaza. But before I get to that, I just wanted to go ahead and first, you know, explain something real quick that I have been thinking about for quite a while now. And if you don't want to listen to my monologue, please go ahead and skip forward. The timing is right here, exactly where I started the reaction video. But one thing that I want to put a lot of emphasis on, right, that not so many people have is due to the fact that although the American people are outraged about the Epstein file, yet we haven't seen any major lockup, we haven't seen any major action being taken, we haven't seen anything. And I have yet to still think to myself, why is that? Why haven't the American people stood up against their government? Not that I'm calling for that, but against their government to start locking up people who were on the list who have done heinous crime to innocent kids, women, whomever. And I think it pretty much trickles down to the fact that the majority of the people on the list are pretty much white people. Now, am I saying that all white people are guilty and all white people should feel the guilt of what happened on the list? I mean, on the island? That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is that imagine if the race was flipped. Imagine if this was Muslim or Mexican or Asian or whatever race you want to go ahead and think about it. Imagine if that was any of them. How things would be burning down right now. Mosque if it was Muslims. Mexico, we probably would have been dropping bombs on them right now. Asians, geez, people would have started saying, "Hey, you need to get out of this country. You don't belong here." But yet we haven't seen anything. And so the reason why people haven't done anything about it, think about it this way. The Israelis have been doing a massive genocide on the Palestinian for quite a while now, for over 75 plus years to be more specific. And for some reason, they don't seem to see any wrong in that. In fact, they're happy about it. They glare about it. All right. And I kind of see the same thing happening here in the United States. Okay, the fact that the Israelis don't do anything about it is because they believe that they're the chosen people. The fact that Americans haven't done anything about the list is because a lot of the people on there are white, and so this whole entire narrative that has been put out there that, oh, white people are the superior race, white people are better than any brown person. If you're not white, you are automatically disqualified. And on top of that, America like to impose its democracy and its way of life on other people. And if you're somebody who do not agree with it, well, your country gets sanctioned or your leader gets toppled and then a new person comes in. So pretty much America put itself in a position in where it tried to become the moral of the world. And so with the release of the file, we now see that it's actually the opposite, that rather the so-called morality, it's something that is extremely corrupt. Okay. And so I genuinely believe that people here in the United States do not want to accept that. They don't want to accept the fact that, they're not as good as they claim to be. Okay. They're not as good as they claim to be. You can no longer you can no longer go on other side of the world and start telling people this is how you should treat your people, because the whole world has now seen the evil and the barbaric action that the leaders of today have taken, the demonic ritual that they have done. Okay. And there's still 3,000 more files to be released. Although some have been released, look at the damage it has already caused all over the world. Look at the ripple effect of what it has. Now, people in Africa are literally looking at Americans saying, like, these are the people that conquered us. Arabs are now saying, what the? These are the people that blew us up for over 20 years. Even Khamenei and Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping, these leaders are saying that the people in America, the leaders in America, are a bunch of satanic people who are doing child, I don't want to say it because, you know what I mean? And now these people are now saying that we need to attack Khamenei. We need to topple Iran. Russia is our enemy. China is our enemy. And I'm like, wait a minute. And so this also brings me to my next topic is that even here inside of America, the American people no longer want to listen to their government because, well, the Epstein file has said a lot more than we can possibly imagine. So we are now shifting to a place in the world in where America is collapsing, both physically, in the sense that it's no longer the superpower of the world. Okay, that and also it has collapsed morally. That's done now. You can never undo what we just seen with the release of the files. It's finished. It's finished. So one thing that I want to say is white folks. All right, it's not all of you guys, but what I'm saying is, yes, the majority of the people on the list are definitely white. Now, does that mean that all white people are bad? That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is put this race superiority complex aside and hold your leaders accountable. Hold the people who committed such heinous crime accountable. If you want to save your face all over the world, if you want people to still hold you with a little bit of credibility, you have to go after the people who have done these heinous things. If only you can hear the way other people all over the world are talking about this list. If only you can hear that. Anyways, if you listen to this whole entire monologue, I just wanted to go ahead and put that out there. So let's get to reacting to our video. And that's going to be the Israeli army is mentally breaking down and unaliving themselves. This is what happened. Okay. This is what happened when you try to suppress your morals to commit the most heinous crime imaginable. This whole entire idea that we are God's chosen people is lies. And the reason why I say that, number one, is because Benjamin Netanyahu would like to make the claim that IDF is the most moral army in the world. Okay. That is a lie in of itself, because something that is moral, because we understand that morals can only come from God. God is the one that pretty much tells us what's good and what's bad. And so the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu is saying that IDF is the most moral army in the world, and yet these people are unaliving themselves, tells me that definitely they're not. Okay, they are not. So let's listen to what Jimmy Dore has to say, and we'll give a commentary on it.
That we took part in this haunts me. I feel that they've destroyed all my pride in being an Israeli. Yeah, you think? In being an IDF officer. Yeah, they've destroyed all your... Oh, that's something. And what's left is shame.
And keep this in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I've put a lot of emphasis on this. It's the fact that these people who claim to be Jews, they're not. They're a bunch of Europeans who are from Ukraine and Germany in all these other areas. Benjamin Netanyahu is not even his real name, but rather he changed his name to sound more Jewish. That's why DNA testing is not allowed. So you have a bunch of satanic retards who decided to come in and hijack the religion of Judaism from within and attach themselves to it, and of course to cause corruption all over the world.
So, you know, the IDF army, the Israeli army, the IDF, they consider themselves the most moral army in the world because they can't help but lie, right? So they have to lie. And whatever they say, just think the opposite, because we've seen how they're slaughtering children, and then they take pictures of themselves after they just slaughtered women and children and completely slaughtered their... this is what they're doing to Palestinians, right? You see that? Isn't that fun? That's an old guy with a... Okay. And here they are wearing... That's someone's bra. Here they are. They're all happy they did this to the Palestinians. They're all happy. And here they are with the women's lingerie. They love to have the women's... They're just regular guys, the IDF soldiers. They could be your neighbors or your former neighbors because they live in your home now. Here's some of the agents who took pictures of themselves while standing upon the still smoldering corpses of women and children. So these are the kind of people the IDF soldiers are, right? And this is the kind of stuff that they do. Uh, and then when they kill them, they dress up in their women's clothes. That's it. That's what they're doing. That's what this is. The most moral army in the world, constantly posting pictures of themselves in the dresses and undergarments of their victims amongst women and playing with the toys of the children they murder, all while their funders pontificate to the rest of the world about human rights. So
also keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, this whole entire idea of human right is no longer going to slide anymore. Not only for the Israelis, but also for America. I'm just saying. Because anybody, any Congress or any person in position of power here in the United States, if this person decides to go on the other side of the world and try lecturing brown people about human rights, all these people got to say is, what about the Epstein file? What about that? What have you done about that? How dare you come here and try to lecture us about human rights when you have not done anything about the files?
here they are with their toys. So that's a little kid they killed. And now they got the little kid's bike. And they take pictures on it. Isn't that nice? It's wow. Maybe he'll be unlucky and he'll roll over a mine they planted with that bike. When they celebrate the slaughter of 18,000 babies and children, take their toys as trophies and upload the pictures on their social media. That's what this is. Want to see more of it? Here's more of it. They got all the babe. They got the kids' bikes. They got the kids' toys. They got the soccer ball. They got stuffed animals. That is one of the. This is one of the most. This is like I can't even think of something that I saw in Schindler's List that is just this disgusting. I can't. I really can't. Can you? I don't. We killed children. We stole their toys. We posed for this picture. We are smiling and laughing. We think this is enormous fun. We're having the time of our lives. We love this, and we're going to kill all the children. Worse than Nazis? How dare you? That's anti-Semitic. So why do I show you all this? Because they're starting to kill themselves. The guys who do this kind of stuff. Turns out that God gives people a psyche, and their psyche can't handle it. So Israel's society can't hide its genocide in Gaza anymore. More and more IDF whistleblowers are talking now, and they are psychologically damaged and spiritually annihilated by what they have done to the native Palestinian population in Gaza. Zanland Docs did a very good job getting some of these on record. This is just the tip of the iceberg. So here, I'll read you. This is a soldier, and he's talking about how messed up they are psychologically from slaughtering children and then taking photos with their toys. So I'll read it to you. He said, I kept thinking we could make things right. But you can't bring people back. The fact that we took part in this haunts me. I feel that they've destroyed all my pride in being an Israeli. Yeah, you think? In being an IDF officer. Yeah, they've destroyed all your... Oh, that's something? And what's left is shame. I hope I can find a way to live without feeling shame with every step I take. There was this woman officer, and she was asked what her role was, and she answered, I'm one of the bad guys. I take care of the humanitarian aid. Wow. Think about that. It was that day I realized there was a chasm between me and all the people there. They and I don't think the same. My place is not here. I keep thinking we could make this right, but you can't bring people back. There's no fixing that. That's what he said. There's no fixing that. No, there is no fixing that. We'll be right back with more of this story after a brief message from our sponsor. 418. Israel's defense ministry says it has recorded a nearly 40% increase in post traumatic stress disorder cases amongst its soldiers since September 2023 and predicts the figure will increase by 180% by 2028. Wow.
And that's the thing, right? I mean, you may think that you're pretty much getting away with crime on earth when in reality you're already being tormented with from within. That is a battle that only you and you yourself can fight. You may try to medicate yourself as much as you possibly want. But in reality, how many people out there have taken their own life after they have tried to numb down the pain and it just doesn't want to go away? These people think that they are God on earth, and God is showing them who the real God is. This is not the first time that we have seen oppression on earth. Many, many generations have come, many human beings have oppressed one another. This ain't the first time we've seen genocide happening. One of the most famous one that everybody know pretty much is the Pharaoh situation. I mean, the Pharaoh was somebody that has oppressed Beni Israel for so many years. And right when he was about to unalive all of them, well, it never happened. That's a whole different story in of itself. I don't want to dive much into it, but you get the idea.
I would go so far as to say they had a mental health crisis long before that. For somebody not to notice what's going on and then to join in on it, even for a moment, of the 22,300 troops or personnel being treated for war wounds, 60% suffer from post-trauma. Yeah, post-trauma. Based on reports from the early 2026, the Israeli Defense Forces are facing a significant spike in mental health crisis, post-traumatic stress disorder, and suicides among soldiers following the start of the war in Gaza on October 7th, 2023. Here is the key details based on available data through January 2026. Significant rise in suicides between January 24 and July 25. 279 IDF soldiers attempted to unalive themselves, with reports indicating at least 36 to over 40 soldiers died by unaliving themselves during that period. Some reports indicate that since October 7, 2023, the number of unalived has significantly risen, with combat soldiers comprising 78% of these cases. In 2024, a sharp increase from previous years. Impact of combat. The spike in unalived soldiers is strongly linked to traumatic experience. Intense repeated combat in Gaza and, more recently, Lebanon. The psychological toll has been described as a suicide epidemic by some, with many soldiers struggling with PTSD and moral injury.
So you see, this is why I say that the people who say I stand with Israel, in reality, you are doing far more damage than good. So they make it seem like those of us out there who are speaking out and saying the genocide needs to stop in Gaza, they say that we are the T's, that we are the bad people. Meanwhile, you have people who say, I stand with Israel. Guess what? These people are in favor of sending money to the IDF so that way they can continue to butcher Palestinians. And guess what? This is what's going on over there. This is what's going on. So pretty much you are in favor of the IDF or the Israelis doing psychological damage to themselves, destroying their reputation all over the world, making the whole entire world hate them. Why? Because, well, you got paid $7,000, so who cares? Right?
Military response. The IDF has acknowledged the crisis, with officials noting that thousands of soldiers are receiving mental health treatment. The military has increased the number of mental health officers for active duty soldiers and reservists. And a significant number of the unalived cases and mental health issues are reported amongst reservists who have been called up multiple times and spent long durations in combat zones. Ronan City is a clinical psychologist who directs combat veterans research at Emek Medical Center in northern Israel. He said soldiers were generally grappling with two different sources of trauma. One source was related to deep experiences of fear and being afraid to die while deployed in Gaza and Lebanon, and even while at home in Israel. Many witnessed the Hamas assault on southern Israel, in which the militants also took around 250 hostages back to Gaza and its aftermath firsthand. He said the second source of trauma is from moral injury or the damage done to a person's conscience or moral compass from something they did. Palestinian, by the way, let me go back here. A lot of soldiers, split-second decisions are good decisions, which they take under fire, but some of them are not. And then women and children are injured and killed by accident. It's not an accident. They're targeting children. They're targeting women. They're bombing refugee camps. This is not an accident. That's what Reuters will tell you. This is not an accident. And and living with that feeling that you have killed innocent people is very difficult feeling, and you can't correct what you've done. One reservist, Paul, a 28-year-old father of three, said he had to leave his job as a project manager with a global firm because the whistles of the bullets above his head lingered with him even after returning home. Paul, who declined to give his last name over privacy concerns, said he deployed in combat roles in Gaza, Lebanon, and Syria. Although fighting has abated in recent months, he says he lives in a constant state of alert. I live that way every day. Well, at least you get to live, Paul, unlike the children you slaughtered.
Yep.
And not let's remember the real victims here. They're not the IDF soldiers. The real victims here are the Palestinians.
Mm-hmm.
Palestinians' mental health specialists have said Gazans are suffering a volcano of psychological trauma, with large numbers now seeking treatment and children suffering symptoms such as night terrors and the inability to focus. So I think, I don't like to see suffering anywhere. But maybe if the IDF soldiers suffer more mental trauma, maybe they'll be inflicting less trauma on innocent children. That's my hope. So if there's a metrics where more mental anguish for the slaughterers and the terrorists, meaning the IDF soldiers, if they are more mentally tortured and that leads to less actual killing of Palestinians, I say more. I say good. I say let's have more of it. Okay, and you're going to think it's tough to make jokes about stuff like this, and it is, but I can do it, and you can come see me do it in Lansing, Michigan, Milwaukee, Albuquerque.
So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much the state of the Israelis currently. And so one thing that I do want to say before I end this is that oppression never lasts forever. Corruptors never win. Every time they're on the blink of victory, something happened and automatically the whole entire plan just crumbles right before their own eyes. Perhaps we're about to see that in the next few days or months. Who knows? With the attack that's about to happen on Iran, this may be a domino effect that's not only going to affect the Israelis, or should I say Israel, but rather this also may affect America in a major way, and this may also lead to World War III. So yeah, anyways, if you made it this far, I will catch you guys up later. Assalamu alaikum.